Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mind Window. Are you ever caught in that relentless race against the clock? Constantly buried in work, your stomach churning because you haven't had a proper sit-down meal, your eyes heavy from a lack of sleep, and too many nights spent burning the midnight oil. Maybe you're sprinting towards a dream you're desperate to achieve, but your steps have become so frantic, so rushed. You're so focused on running that you've forgotten to love the person doing the running, yourself. So this is a reminder to let yourself do just that, to carve out that precious time that often gets lost in the shuffle. Your daily schedule can feel a little more spacious, giving you those invaluable moments to soothe that forgotten part of your soul, to truly be present for your family, your friends, and even for the nature that surrounds you. And now, let's begin. There's a specific kind of terror that has a name, helplessness. At its core, helplessness is simple to understand. It's that state of having the clear desire, the rational thought to do something, but lacking the physical strength to do it, not having the ability, or being completely stuck with no solution in sight. When that feeling of helplessness washes over you, it hits you. You have nothing. In the blink of an eye, you see everything is meaningless, even your own existence. It's this suffocating pressure, a feeling that chokes you, even though you can't see it. So, what really is this thing we call helplessness? In the opening of Chapter 10 of Norwegian Wood, Haruki Murakami wrote it like this: "When I think back on 1969, my mind just sees a swamp, a deep, viscous marsh. It felt like it wanted to suck down and pull away every single one of my days. Every step I took, I was wading through that mud, my strength draining away. Behind me, I could see nothing but the endless darkness of the swamp." Have you ever felt so helpless that you just broke down, sobbing uncontrollably until you couldn't breathe? Why is it that when we feel so powerless, we cry? This journey is about to show you the many different shapes that helplessness can take. When I was in elementary school, I had a cat who was the same age as me. He'd been with me since the day I was born, like we were lifelong companions destined to grow up together. We ate, played, and slept side by side. We were inseparable. But then, when I was in first grade, I came home from school one day and saw that he couldn't walk straight. He stumbled and staggered before he just collapsed, throwing up with foam at his mouth. His tiny body convulsed in spasms, and a gut-wrenching wail tore from my own throat. My parents told me he had been poisoned. I just stood there, crying in complete despair, watching my best friend be stolen away by some cruel, faceless person. He took his last shuddering breath, and I was utterly, completely powerless to do a single thing. That was the first time I ever tasted what helplessness truly felt like. As I got a little older, helplessness began to take on new and different shapes, like the time a friend I trusted with all my heart lied and threw all the blame on me for something she did. Do you know that stunning, heart-stopping feeling when you realize the person you treated with such sincerity has just stabbed you in the back? At that moment, that little girl cried again. I tried to explain myself to everyone, but nobody would listen. The teachers didn't believe that my friend was lying. They looked at the perfectly crafted story she had built, at her calm, collected face, and they believed every single word. But when they looked at me, sobbing, desperately trying to clear my name, they just looked weary, like I wasn't worth their time. That's when I learned that helplessness often comes with a deep, crushing loneliness. In that moment, no one in the world believed me, and now it takes yet another form. I saw it in the movie Dear Ex. It's a tragedy drenched in tears for 3 adults, the wife, the husband, his gay lover, and a child caught in the middle of it all. There's a line from that film I'll never forget. How long is 10,000 years? It's every single day since the person I love left me to return to a normal life. From then on, every day is 10,000 years. Exactly. The husband in the film was terrified of what people would say. He bowed to societal norms and prejudice. He chose to marry a woman and have a child to run away from who he truly was. It wasn't until he was diagnosed with cancer that he finally dared to live his truth in his final days, a stark figure against the film's nostalgic, melancholic backdrop of muted blues and dominant orange golds. In that story, I saw the helplessness of every single character. For the lover, it was, what's the point when the man you love surrenders to the pressure of society and marries a woman? A heavy, suffocating helplessness born from a love that couldn't overcome prejudice. And I also saw the helplessness of the tragic wife. Even after her husband died, she never got a single explanation. She fought bitterly to claim the insurance money he left for his lover. The tears of helplessness, this time, fell once more. Helplessness has a sound. It's the sound of a wife's scream, shredded and raw, in a video I stumbled upon online. The kind of sound that rips through you. She had just caught her husband, with his lover, in the very car they had both sacrificed for, working endless hours, scraping together every penny. In that moment, she just broke. She lunged at him, a fury she'd never felt before boiling over. She wanted to claw at the woman who was tearing her world apart, but people held her back. All she could do was scream and sob, trapped in a nightmare. The helplessness wasn't about being alone. It was about watching something that was so clearly, solidly yours just vanish. It's the ultimate betrayal, a wound inflicted by the very person you trusted with your heart. But helplessness can also be silent. It's the quiet shame of a large birthmark sprawling across a face. It's the silent struggle of legs that won't obey. It's the world of darkness for eyes that can no longer see the light. This is the helplessness you're born into, the feeling that you've already lost the race before it even began, a quiet, heavy resignation to a fate you never chose. Helplessness often walks hand in hand with love. I'll never forget a story I once saw about a father, his body drenched in sweat, carrying his dying son to the top of the tallest skyscraper in the city. The boy, let's call him Leo, had only ever known his small riverside village. His one last wish was to see the city, to see this giant building that touched the clouds. He wanted to know if it was different from his home. But his father knew the truth. The place his son was really heading was heaven. You could see the helplessness etched into the father's eyes, hear it in the tremor of his voice. Even if it meant selling every fish in the river, he clung to a sliver of hope that his son could be saved. He was a father carrying his son for the last time, carrying all of his son's unfulfilled dreams on his back. That's when you realize helplessness and love are intertwined, because sometimes love is all you have left, and it's still not enough. It was just a story, and the characters never cried, but I did. And helplessness comes with a lack of power. It's right there in the word, the powerlessness you feel when you can't protect the people you love. That crushing feeling when your family, your parents, your siblings need to lean on you, but you feel so fragile you might shatter. You're nothing but a well of tears. I remember after college, I finally got a job. You think you've made it, right? You get into a routine, work during the day, hang out with friends at night. You tell yourself, I'm young, I have time, I should just live and enjoy it. And then one day, the phone call comes. My parents were sick. The day I held the doctor's diagnosis, my world just went silent. The cost of the treatments, the surgeries, it was an impossible number. For 4 years, my parents took out loans and worked themselves to the bone just so I could have an education. There were no savings, and in the years since I'd graduated, I hadn't saved much either. I just kept asking myself, what have I been doing all this time? Why didn't I work harder? Now, when they were old and frail, when they needed me to be their rock, I was just useless. I had nothing to offer them but my tears. Sometimes helplessness is completely invisible. It has no shape or form. It just ambushes you. I feel helpless against my own body when I can't control it. I don't want to cry, but the tears just fall. I feel helpless when I can't control my emotions, when I lash out in anger over the smallest things. I feel helpless when I can't control my disordered eating, or even worse, when I can't stop the urges to do things that would only hurt more. So why is this feeling so painful? Because when we feel helpless, we feel like we've lost our strength, our will, our hope. We suffer because we've lost control. This goes right to the core of our need for autonomy. We feel comfortable, we feel safe when we believe we can influence what happens in our lives. When something happens that is completely beyond our control, it feels like a threat. Our entire world feels unstable and unsafe. This feeling can also grow from the obstacles life throws at us, challenges we just don't know how to overcome. It chips away at our confidence and leaves us feeling disappointed in ourselves. And why do we cry when we feel so helpless? Because when you can't control the situation, crying can feel like the one thing you can control. It's a small act of taking back your power. In that moment, crying is a way to express exactly what you're feeling, to have control over at least that one thing. It's a way of creating a small, safe space for yourself in the middle of the chaos. But you know something? There are people who feel so helpless, they don't even have the energy to cry anymore. When something terrible happens, we always want to believe we do everything in our power to change the situation. It's like someone falling into a pit of quicksand. At first, they'll scream for help, struggle, and try every escape they can imagine. But for some reason, with every failed attempt, they sink a little deeper until they can't even see the light anymore. That's the moment a person feels they have absolutely no control over what's happening to them. Over time, they tend to just give up, surrendering to whatever fate has in store, as if they were truly powerless from the start. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. The original experiment that formed the basis of this theory was conducted by two psychologists, Martin E. P. Seligman and Stephen F. Meyer, back in the 1960s. The experiment involved administering mild electric shocks to dogs. Now, since this experiment is quite heavy, I won't go into the gritty details, but in short, after experiencing the shocks, the dogs learned that they couldn't escape and would just get shocked again. So they began to refuse to believe in their own ability to get free, even when they were given a clear path to safety. Or we don't even need to look at clinical examples. You can see learned helplessness all around us. When baby elephants are captured, their legs are shackled to a thick iron stake with heavy chains. No matter how much the baby elephant struggles, it's not strong enough to break free. Over time, it learns that no amount of pulling or force will ever work against those chains. It eventually accepts its limited range of motion. So when that elephant grows up with more than enough strength to snap the chain in an instant, it doesn't even try, because in its mind, it learned long ago that all effort was useless. Psychologists have discovered a powerful link between this learned helplessness and depression. People who have experienced depression in the past are more likely to accept future episodes as inevitable, and therefore, they're less likely to try to change their circumstances. This also holds true for those living in situations of domestic abuse. Individuals who feel they can't escape the violence at home are more likely to refuse help later on, accepting future abuse as an unavoidable part of their lives. And the more we witness failure, whether it's our own or someone else's, the less likely we are to even try to make a change, even when the situation has changed dramatically. There are 3 key psychological factors at play here: motivation, cognition, and emotion. Motivation, or in this case, the lack of it, is when a person stops trying to find ways to escape a negative state. Cognition relates to the belief that the situation is uncontrollable. And finally, emotion is the state of distress that appears when someone feels they have lost all control over their own life. These individuals often go through a devastating cycle, from resistance to denial to acceptance to despair, and finally to complete helplessness. This is the vicious circle that forms what is sometimes called helpless depression or hopeless depression, a concept also studied and named by Seligman and his colleagues. The reason I'm sharing these examples is so you can understand that learned helplessness is like an invisible chain locked onto your mind. It means that because you've tried to fight back and find a way out before, and you failed, just like those elephants or those dogs, you feel trapped in a sequence of negative events. After trying so many times without seeing any light, you gradually just accepted it and gave up. Now, I know that human life and psychology are far more complex than what a simple experiment can simulate, but these findings are a critical first step in changing the perspective of people who are stuck day after day in the shackles of their own negativity. So please, let's keep going together. There's a piece of advice I learned from Dr. Joaquin F. Fuster that I think might help you. He said, "If you're feeling helpless, help someone else." You feel that gut-wrenching helplessness when you can't save a beloved pet, yet that small, tender part of you still finds the strength to love and rescue another. You feel it when trusted friends or even a lover shatter your trust, but you still find yourself extending a hand to others in need. You feel it when your body doesn't fit the world's definition of normal, yet you still choose to walk forward, becoming an inspiration to your entire community. You feel the powerlessness of not being able to provide for your parents, for your children. But the truth is, your parents and your children, they don't blame you, not for a second. They genuinely love you and only want what's best for you. Hardships and risks are things no one ever asks for, but we have to think about them seriously and really strive right from the beginning. Don't let it get to the point where your parents need you and all you have to offer are your tears. Don't wait until your children need you and all you have to offer is a heart full of shame. Maybe right now, in this moment of feeling utterly powerless, you don't think you can help anyone else, but you will. Just please, whatever you do, don't tell yourself you are useless or that you can't do anything, because helping someone else always begins with the smallest of things. Sometimes a simple smile you offer a stranger on the street is enough to let a little sunshine into their soul. And who knows, maybe these small acts of kindness are the very bricks you can use to build a new path. Maybe they're the roots, the blades of grass, or the sturdy branch you can grab onto to pull yourself out of that deep, thick mud that's holding you down. The night always ends, and a new day always dawns. Just hold on a little longer. The road ahead will become smoother, and the morning sun will once again fill your world with its warm, brilliant light. If this story resonated with you, if it touched a part of your own journey, please show your support by giving this video a like and subscribe to Mind Window so you don't miss our future explorations into the heart. Share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And most importantly, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a space of strength and understanding together.